येनात्मैवात्मना जितः अनात्मनस्तु शत्रुत्वे वर्तेतात्मैव शत्रुवत् बन्धुरात्मात्मनस्तस्य येनात्मैवात्मना जितः अनात्मनस्तु शत्रुत्वे वर्तेतात्मैव शत्रुवत् बन्धुरात्मात्मनस्तस्य येनात्मैवात्मना अनात्मनस्तु शत्रुत्वे वर्तेतात्मैव शत्रुवत्. Please repeat. Mothers, would anyone like to try? Okay, no problem. So, Bandhuhu, friend. Atma, the mind. Atmanaha, of the living entity. Tasya, of him. Yena, by whom. Atma, the mind. Eva, certainly. Atmana, by the living entity. Jitaha, conquered. Anatmanaha, of one who has failed to control the mind. Tu, but. Shatrutve, because of enmity. Varteta, remains. Atma, eva, the very mind. Shatruvat, as an enemy. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. For one who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. Purport. The purpose of practicing Eightfold Yoga is to control the mind in order to make it a friend in discharging the human mission. Unless the mind is controlled, the practice of yoga for show is simply a waste of time. One who cannot control his mind lives always with this greatest enemy, and thus his life and his mission are spoiled. The constitutional position of the living entity is to carry out the order of the superior. As long as one's mind remains an unconquered enemy, one has to serve the dictations of lust, avarice, illusion, etc. But when the mind is conquered, one voluntarily agrees to abide the dictation of the personality of Godhead, who is situated within the heart of everyone as Paramatma. Real yoga practice entails meeting the Paramatma within the heart and then following his dictation. For one who takes Shri Krishna consciousness directly, perfect surrender to the dictation of the Lord follows automatically. Om Agyana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tafpada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sandho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminati Namine Harijana Ganabadi Gnana Karmandahari Prakatita Para Bhaktir Bhakti Siddhanta Kantihi Vinaya Nikara Lakshmi Nimna Medaira Gamyo Bhuvijayati Vikaso Bhakti Purvo Yatindraha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminati Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Deshatarane Vagisha Yasya Vadane Lakshmi Yasya Vakshase Yasyasa Hridaye Samvitam Rasamham Aham Pache. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this verse that we've read today, it speaks about a person who's been torturing us since time immemorial, a person who is really bad for us, a very bad person who has no mercy upon us, and that person is our mind. Our mind, like we can see, it's in this verse, our mind can be our greatest friend or our worst enemy. So, an intelligent person who is subdued by the enemy should always be making arrangements as to how they can reduce the effect of the enemy. And in our case, it's our own mind. We can say that so many people are addicted to things which are not good for them. We can see the most gross example, we could suppose, is the example of a person who's addicted to smoking cigarettes. There's so many people in this world who are addicted to smoking cigarettes. And if you look at the back of a cigarette packet, what does it say? Smoking kills. Right? Smoking kills. And it's not just the same boring message. Sometimes it's like it has like one packet speaks about the effects of the lungs, then another packet may speak about the effect on it on another body, another packet may speak about it about its effect on some other part of the body, and it's like different messages so people could read it with this and that. But ultimately, everyone knows that although it's a federal regulation to have this printed on the back of a cigarette packet, it makes almost no difference. It makes no difference. Why? Because once a person is addicted to something, although something is dead, we can see that matter by nature, it is dead. But when the mind starts to put value into matter and starts to get attached to matter, then something dead can completely control a person. A cigarette is a dead object. How can it control a person? Well, it controls persons. It takes lives. It takes the lives of so many people. Why is this the case? It is because of the excessive attachment of the mind to an object made of matter. So this is the main principle, the main activity of the mind. What does the mind do? The mind accepts things and the mind rejects things. And that is called being on the mental platform. One of the greatest difficulties that a person can, one of the greatest miseries that a person can experience in their life is the misery of being indecisive. The misery of being indecisive. When you know whether, oh, should I do it, should I not do it? Should I do it, should I not do it? Should I do it, should I not do it? You know what, I'll do it. Oh, you know what, maybe I shouldn't do it. You go ahead, and then you again start thinking. And when you're in such a situation, then it causes a lot of misery, actually. It causes a lot of misery because you can't get anything done. The misery of indecisiveness is a real thing. Many people are affected by it, actually. So we see that the mind accepts and rejects things on the basis of what it thinks could give it enjoyment. When we give free rein to the mind can go as far as doing something as abominable as committing murder against someone you love. So many times we see so many people, they start a relationship, something happens, they get into a fight, and when the fight starts, it just one thing turns to another, and another, and another, and then out of nowhere, some crazy activity happens. Shooting, just, in a fit of anger, just shooting someone. How did that happen? Where did it all start? It all started because of the uncontrolled mind. We have our mind is the most uncontrolled thing in the whole world. And if you see later in this chapter, Arjuna tells Krishna, it is probably easier to control the wind than it is to control the mind. If you have this experience, we may be able to somehow control the wind, but to control the mind is a very difficult process. And we see this, we can experience this ourselves. So, a person, if they want to be successful in either material life or spiritual life, but especially spiritual life, their mind must be fixed on the goal, and that should be guided with intelligence. If the intelligence is not guiding the mind, then naturally what ends up happening is that the mind takes control. And when the mad mind takes control, there is no limit to the amount of craziness that can happen. So there's many things in this world which may seem that, hey, if we do this, let's just do a little yoga. Let's do a little yoga, stretch our feet, breathe, squeeze our nose like this, and then squeeze our nose like that. Take some deep breaths here and there. Let's speak about mindfulness. You can have, there's so many apps, some app spaced out or something like this app is there on the app store. You can see it. There may be so many, suggestions. Oh, wow, you just, every morning, I completely do yoga. I completely do meditation. And what do? Is I just breathe. I breathe. And by breathing, I'm able to fully control my mind. But then we can do breathing and we can do what is actually known as show bottle spiritualism. Show bottle spiritualism. It looks very spiritual, but it's simply show bottle. It's just like, it's just like an eye wash. It's like doing something for namesake only. Why? Because you can do something. You can do yoga. You can do breathing exercises. You can do this and you can do all of that. But ultimately, if the mind is controlling us, then what is the use? And how do we know if our mind is controlling us? We know our mind is controlling us when things made of matter are completely ruling our life. When things made of matter or obtaining things made of matter is our ultimate goal of life. It's the ultimate goal of life. So we say that the mind is so dangerous. In this regard, who has this? Okay. You can go up, this Dhyayato Vishayam Pumsam Sangasteshu Prajayates. Bhagavad Gita chapter 2. You can go, there's a whole series of verses, starting with verse number 60. Yes. No, it's verse number 62, sorry. Verse number 62. Yeah, so we can see this. I'll just say the Sanskrit in three verses in a row, and then you can show the translation. It says, Dhyayato Vishayam Pumsam Sangasteshu Pajayate Sanga Sanjayate Kamat Krodho Bijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha Sammohat Smriti Vibramaha Smriti Brahmshat Buddhinashat Pranashriti. So these two verses, you can go back, please. You can read the translation over here. We say, while contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. Next verse. From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. And when memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls on again into the material pool. So, bottom line is that the reason we are suffering in this world is because we are contemplating upon the objects of this world. When we contemplate upon the objects of the material world, people will suffer. When we are contemplating upon it, whatever it is that we may be contemplating upon, we may be contemplating upon how to, attain this particular kind of goal, how to become richer than the other thing. How can I outdo my neighbor? How can I outdo this? How can I flex like this? How can I show off like that? So when we contemplate and meditate upon things like that, then all these unwanted desires are cultivated more and more within our hearts. We see we have so many unwanted desires. A person in a sane mind, it seems like completely crazy to go and sleep with your best friend's wife. If you think about it, like, bro, would you go sleep with your best friend's wife? Probably not. But then what ends up happening is that if somehow something like this happens where we may, if someone becomes attracted to the wife of his best friend, immediately he should detach himself from that situation and go away. Why? Because so many things are at risk. So many things could go wrong. They start to contemplate upon it. But then an intelligent person stops the contemplation. When we stop the contemplation on things which are poisonous to us, then immediately we'll be able to free ourselves from the effects. But if we don't stop the contemplation on these objects, then we actually start to ponder upon it. And then one thing leads to another, and we're in a very horrible situation. And it happens to us time and again and time and again. Therefore, an intelligent person, and this is when the mind becomes the worst enemy. So in order to make that mind the best friend, that's why one should have realization of spiritual knowledge. That is why it's very important. We are very happy all of you have come here today, and we request you to please keep coming more and more. That is why when we hear this knowledge, hearing this knowledge with contemplation of this knowledge will lead to realization. So when we hear this knowledge, when we hear knowledge of the absolute truth, it's called Atma Gyan. When we hear knowledge about or Atma Tattva, when we hear knowledge about the spirit soul, and we contemplate on this knowledge about the spirit soul, then we will it'll lead us to realize this point, this fact that we are actually not our body, that we are actually the spirit soul, because that is what all this knowledge speaks about. So when we contemplate on these simple facts that we are not our body, with the life inside our body, and ultimately nothing made of matter is going to satisfy us, and we focus upon objects made of objects which are completely spiritual. Krishna, he's the most spiritual person ever. Krishna is completely spiritual, and we all are spiritual also. But unfortunately, when we identify with this body made of matter, you can pull up Bhagavad Gita chapter 18, text number 66. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantrarudani maya. Is it this? No, go back. Sorry, go back. Keep going. There is it. Okay, that one. No. One more. Okay, boom. So translation. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated on a machine made of material energy. So as long as we identify with this machine made of material energy, we will be disappointed, because by nature, anything material has a beginning and it certainly has an end. It certainly has a beginning and it certainly has an end. So if a person contemplates upon something made of matter, then, especially like this body and what gives pleasure to the body, then what ends up happening is that lust, anger, avarice, all these things will increase. That all these things are naturally increasing. The more one is in the bodily conception of life, a person will identify with their friends, their family, their society, their country, their nation, etc. But all this is a disease, and it's called the skin disease. We have a skin disease. We try to identify ourselves with our skin. Our love, I love him so much because he has the same skin as me. But that means your love is skin deep. That means our love is skin deep. It doesn't go beyond the skin. The skin disease has been destroying this material world since time immemorial. We have this skin disease. Our mind identifies with a certain kind of object and thinks that, oh yes, this is this, and this is our friend and that is our enemy. But all this friendship and enmity is based on the wrong conception that thinking we are this body. On the wrong conception thinking we are this body. So, an intelligent person must be very thoughtful of understanding that from the time they are born until now, their body has undergone so many changes. We can think about this very soberly. From the time we are born, we were all at one point of time, age of that small girl there. And now, we've grown up and grown up and grown up. What happened to our small 9-year-old body? What happened to our 5-year-old body? What happened to our 25-year-old body? What happened? What happened to all these bodies? They're all gone. All these bodies are gone. But still, we remain the same. Then if a person identifies with matter, with their mind, they may think, oh, but I am my mind. But the mind wants different objects from the time of birth. When we're a small kid, the mind may want G.I. Joe, Barbie doll, all these things the mind may want. But then as time goes on, the mind may want different things. So now I want the Hot Wheels car. And then next thing you know, you want a real like Ferrari car. Next thing you know, you want this and you want that. So you may want so many things, and the demands of the mind are completely crazy. So because the mind keeps changing its identification, you can identify yourself for a certain point of time as a young boy or a young girl. But then as time goes on and you identify yourself as a young boy, let's just say you're 55 years old and you identify yourself as a 9-year-old girl, it is called having a mental disease. It really is. If your life keeps going on and you identify yourself with a dog and you think you're a dog, that's called being crazy. It's called completely crazy. There is no other definition of that if you identify with all these insane activities. Therefore, the identification of the mind also will lead you to completely crazy activities. And, fun fact, the more you indulge your mind and the more you restrain to control it, the more crazy a person will become. The more we let our mind go, let our mind do whatever it likes and just enjoy and do all these things and this and that. The more we just let our mind go, the more it'll demand and the more crazier and crazier things it'll like to do. Why? Because the TV is a good example, or like, even better than that are the reels, right? Just keep going. The mind wants changing. The mind always wants to change. Look at this, look at that, look at this, look at that. Always changing. So we go and we focus on something and we try to enjoy it as much as possible. Oh, you know what? Let's go try and enjoy this. Let's go and try and enjoy this. But ultimately, the result of such enjoyment simply causes us suffering. It simply causes suffering. That's why an intelligent person focuses on objects which are not temporary. That's our main disease, that we accept and reject objects on the basis of what is going to give us immediate sense gratification. Immediately, what will satisfy us, that is what we are really attached to. So when we go about life in this direction, then certainly people will experience a certain amount of misery, which they usually would not have to do. We would not have to do. Recently, we were talking to one devotee. He's from San Diego. Mahotsaha Prabhu is not here. He was speaking about how once him and one of the other brahmacharis, they went out on book distribution or something, and they ran into this Indian boy or man, whatever. He was like 27 or 30 years old, something, and he went and he was completely crazy. And his mind had completely melted away because of doing too much meth. And he got back to the temple, and they called up his father. Somehow they got his father's phone number. And the father came and told him, just see, this guy completely ruined his life with drugs. He completely ruined it with drugs. And little did that boy or that man himself know that when he started taking drugs, that he would end up like this. But he ended up like that, completely crazy, completely lost. How does it start? Because we just let our mind go and go and go. And then the mind starts to associate and starts to create situations where it can get more and more of its sense gratification. How can if I'm with this guy, for example, you could either be with a guy who's really good in studying and doing all these things, or you can be with a guy who sits on the back bench and just like cracks jokes and like doesn't take his life seriously. So these are decisions that we make. Who you are, who you associate with. So when we are associating with people who have low caliber, we are associating with people who have low caliber, all these things. When we are associating with people who have low caliber, who have low character, and we start to cultivate their mood, we start to cultivate the way they look at the world. More importantly, when we associate with certain kind of people, we associate with their worldview. Their worldview becomes our worldview. It becomes like that. And then when it becomes our worldview, then we start to look at things the way they look at things. So it's very important. You are, there's a prominent saying, you are what you eat. But the sense organ we eat with the most is our ear. We eat the most with our ear, because when we hear something, it creates a certain impression in our mind, and our mind follows it wherever we go. Therefore, it's very important to hear the right message. That's why there is this beautiful name of God, Krishna, and one of his beautiful names is Punya Shravana Kirtana. When we hear about Krishna, when we hear about the pastimes and activities about Krishna, then we start to contemplate upon Krishna's beautiful pastimes. And what is the side effect about meditating upon Krishna's activities and Krishna's instructions? Is our material desires go away. Our material desires go away. We say this, that I was reading in the Srimad Bhagavatam just recently, that the demoniac mentality is vanquished by the association of devotees. When we may have demoniac mentalities, we may have mentality, I myself can see that the demoniac mentality is reducing as time goes on by associating with devotees, by associating with the transcendental process which is not of this world. And how do you know if it works or not? Well, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So when you eat, if you tell someone, hey, this pudding is sweet. How will you know it's sweet? When you eat it. It's a very simple thing. So the same thing with the process of Krishna consciousness. Okay, all this is great. But what do we do with that crazy mind right now? There's two words Krishna uses in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, Abhyasa and Vairagya. When we study, when we understand these points and we renounce things which are bad for us, then that's a very simple thing. Okay, that also seems complicated. So then, what is the even more simpler thing? Prabhupada writes in this purport that for the disease of the mind, when you have a disease, what is a good doctor supposed to give you? And That's right. Medicine and diet. Our dude knows. And I guess in America, it's just like, I'll just give you the diet. I'll just give you the medicine. Don't worry about the diet, bro. You can take whatever you want. Just eat whatever you like. Just keep taking this and, keep coming back to the pharmacy so we can keep giving you more medicines, right? You're too fat. What's the problem? Well, we'll give you cholesterol medicine. And you just have to keep taking the cholesterol medicine. It's crazy. But a good doctor, what he gives you is he gives you a medicine and he gives you a diet. He gives you both these things, right? So similarly, Prabhupada writes in the purport, this verse, that the medicine is, you can please repeat after me, Hare Krishna. I didn't hear you. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. That is the medicine. And the diet is prasadam. Everyone knows what prasadam is. Anyone here for the first time? You're here so when you go downstairs and eat that food, your mind is going to blow. Okay? It's going to blow your mind when you go eat that food. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right or am I right? Right? So it is going to blow your mind when you eat that food. And the more you chant this mantra and the more you eat this food, the disease of material existence will fade away. You are all invited to come join chanting and dancing and feasting. This is our program. What do the Hare Krishnas do? Well, they talk high philosophy. It's true. This philosophy is very high. Abhyasa. And then what else do? They chant and they dance and they eat the best food. This is a very simple process. It's simple for the simple. So don't complicate it. It's a very simple process. Anyone can take to this. And by taking to this, one can attain the topmost perfection. You can see now the biggest human gathering is going on. Mahakumbha Mela is going on. There's so many yogis and so many all these things. But the greatest yogi of the modern world, Srila Prabhupada, said that there's so many yogis and so many mystics and all these things. But just by taking one sweet, it's called a rasgulla that you get in the Hare Krishna temple. Just by eating one sweet and you pop it in your mouth, you make more advancement than all these yogis have done for many, many years. Why? Because we are doing devotional service. We are serving the supreme mystic, the supreme yogi, Krishna. So I'll end the class over here. If there's any questions or comments, we could take them now. Is there anything? Anything from the women's side? Any questions? Anything from the men's side? Yeah, well, okay, go for it. 1 minute, mother. We'll just give you the mic.
So you said if our minds do not grow or change, I was wondering what would be the consequence of that? Because when you were speaking, I was receiving it more as with our bodies, the way that throughout time we become our bodies change, so our bodies die over time. So is the disease or insanity, would that be when a mind is not growing or changing? And is that directed by intelligence, allowing your mind to go, but directing it more with your intelligence? Or is it just, that would be my question.
Yeah, the intelligence, you can pull a 342 Bhagavad Gita, whoever has this. Indriyani paranyahur, indriyebhya paramanaha, manasastu parabhuddher, yo buddhev paratastu saha. Okay, so the working senses are superior to dull matter. The mind is higher than the senses. The intelligence is still higher than the mind, and he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. So our mind should be guided by intelligence, but then the intelligence should be guided by spiritual knowledge, which is available in these books. If you don't have these books, I strongly recommend you get them. And because it'll help you, because this is food for our soul. When we read these books, it's food for our soul. It's food for our mind, because it'll help us rid the disease of material existence. Is that okay, Mother?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Oh, yes. Just 1 sec, bro. We'll just give you the mic. He did some devotional service yesterday by fixing the light in the bathroom. Thank you for that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hey, Hare Krishna, brother.
How do you curve that contemplation? Like when your mind is in that contemplative state and you just are super indecisive, how do you curve that?
Good question. So first, we use our intelligence. When we have to make a serious decision, when both of us, three of us, we have to make a serious decision, we make a pros and a cons list. And then it becomes super obvious what needs to get done. Or or if it reaches a stalemate, then we ask our spiritual master, because he is completely transcendental to the three modes of material nature and all these things. So there's steps that you could do. One thing. Anyway, I might as well pull this up again. Pull up 11:26-26 Bhagavatam. Tato dussangam utsrijya satsu sajjeta buddhiman santa evasya chindanti mano vyasangam uktibihi. I guess this has become the new verse I'm obsessed with. Okay. An intelligent person should therefore reject all bad association and take up the association of saintly devotees whose word cut off the excessive attachments of the mind. So if it's contemplating and taking you to places you don't want to go, come and talk to the monks. That's easy, right? The monks are good friends to have. Like, matter of fact, I got a guy who's like good at business and this and that. But matter of fact, I got a monk. Let me call him up. That's some good association. So that's the easiest answer to all these things. And the more you come, the more you associate, then the more that mentality is killed. Like, sometimes you really don't want to do it, but you do it anyway, because the mind is forcing you to do it. And that's because it's driven by lust. The mind is driven by lust. The lust is our primary enemy, and he's seated in our mind and on our senses. Lust is our enemy, and he's seated in all these different places. So when he's there, directing us to, pushing us to do things which we don't want to do, therefore we come and associate with devotees whose words chop off our excessive attachments, whatever attachment there are. All right, is that okay?
Love it.
Awesome. Anything else? Yes, Mother, yeah.
And how would you define lust? Would that be our, yeah.
Okay. All right. So I guess we can read Bhagavad Gita chapter 3. Pull it up. It's what? Vidyenam Havairinam was a 342 Bhagavad Gita. I have it right here. Not Bhagavatam. I guess you're in the Bhagavatam state of mind. Let's see. It is lust only, O Arjuna. We just saw that 342. I'm sorry. 1 minute. Can you pull that up? Vishnu Prabhu, what's that? Vidyenam Havairinam? What's the verse number for Vidyenam Havairinam? Oh, sorry, I asked you. Sorry. So I just want to make sure. Okay, 337, Bhagavad Gita. So we can see this over here. Krishna speaks. Okay, Sri Bhagavan Ovacha, Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajoguna Samudbhava, Mahashana Mahapapma Vidyenam Havairinam. The Supreme, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the mode of passion, later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. Next verse. You can, whatever, you can, yeah. As fire is covered by smoke, a mirror is covered by dust, or as an embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust. So what is this lust? It's simple. Lust, this is a simple way of looking at it. Lust means that the desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, or the desire to enjoy matter. The desire to enjoy matter and to exploit it and squeeze it out for our own self. Because the more our lust increases, for example, let's just say that you already ate. You already ate, and let's just say you really like to eat pizza. Okay? So if you really like to eat pizza and you already ate, and then I don't know if you have a sister or a brother or whoever is coming home, and you know they're going to be hungry. Right? And you eat the pizza and you're satisfied, and you know the rest of it is for your brother. You're like, oh, this pizza is so good. And you eat the whole thing not caring for your brother. That's acting on the basis of lust, because, like, come on, you should at least care about your brother. Right? Simple thing. So similarly, when we try to exploit matter and think that matter is going to give us some amount of happiness, where it doesn't do that, and it drives us more in the bodily conception of life. There's another verse, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and this is a very easy one. This is the definition of lust, if you really like. Atmendriya priti vancha tare balikam, Krishendriya priti chadhare premanam. I don't know the verse number to this, so I'll just tell you what it translates to. That the desire to satisfy our own senses is called lust, whereas the desire to satisfy the senses of Krishna is called love. So when our whole, we want to go here and there and do all these things, then it's simply a desire to satisfy our senses. Whereas when we desire to satisfy the senses of Krishna, that is called love. Is that okay, Mother? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay then. Thank you so much for attending this class. So now one of are we going to have Japamala going on? Or like what? Yeah? Beads are going to go around? Okay. So now Jitagirish Prabhu is going to come and give. Does everyone have beads with them? Couple of you don't, right? Okay, so he's going to give you some beads, and we're going to chant 10 mantras on these beads. And the way we're going to chant is we hold the first bead after the bead which has some hair on it, not hair but like threads on it. It has some threads on it, and we chant on the first bead. After that, we hold the bead with our thumb and our middle finger. We chant the whole Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna mantra on it, and then we move on to the next bead. And we're going to chant like this on 10 beads. Okay, so he's going to come and give us this, and we can chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Okay, everyone got some? So we hold the beads again, right after the one with some strands of thread on it. We hold it with our middle finger and thumb finger. We chant the whole mantra and we move on to the next bead, okay? So we can start by now at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Last beat. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So thank you very much for coming. Now we'll have a kirtan, but this time we will sing. Okay, so we have a very huge festival on February 12th. February 11th, happening right here. It's called Nityananda Trayodashi. It's 11th, isn't it? Or 10th, February 10th. It's the next Monday from now. And we're going to have some very amazing food items which you've never eaten before. So that's a good reason to come. If that doesn't inspire you, there's going to be lots of chanting and dancing and a lot of these other amazing, wonderful Krishna conscious activities. And most importantly, when you come on this day, you get to make it's like a cheat code. You come and you do a little devotional service, and your spiritual life boosts up. So you can come and participate with us in this festival. It's on February 10th, Nityananda Trayodashi, and the festival starts at what time? The festival begins over here at 10 a.m. So it's a Monday. You can already decide that you're going to fall sick and let your boss know that you're going to fall sick, and then do whatever it takes. And you can show up here February 10th, 10 a.m. Is that okay? All right. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. We will have kirtan for 10 minutes. So please, just focus on the Maha Mantra and chant with your friends. It'll be very, very nice. Actually, one more thing, one last thing I'd like to let you know is that there's a table there with the best books you'll ever come across in your life. I strongly recommend you get a full set of these books. The more, the merrier. If you already have some, give them to your friends or your enemies. Okay? Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, oh Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Gauda Premanande. Harinam Sankirtan Yajna ki jai. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So now we'll go down and honor ecstatic prasadam. Hare Krishna.